to just briefly talk to you about Jesus Christ. Of course, when people ask me, what is it that you preach? Is it the three angels' messages? And I say, no, what I preach is Jesus, because Jesus is the good news. Jesus is the gospel. The gospel is not a theory, it is a person.
In one instance, an interview with an ex-Jesuit priest by the name of Alberto Rivera.
Especially I work in dealing with the infiltration of churches. The purpose is what the Roman Catholic system has all the time as her own purpose, is to infiltrate, to penetrate all the areas of life where the Roman Catholic can have control and access for the coming world government. What that means is, in preparation for that world government, the Roman Catholic institution, especially since the establishment of the Jesuit order in 1541, throughout all these 500 years, they've been in preparation and through infiltration and penetration of every level of society in order to take over the world politically and religiously. There are two doctrines that define very well these dangerous goals of the Roman Catholic institution. Two doctrines define this very well. One is called the doctrine of the apostolic succession, and that is dealing with the papacy. And the other is the doctrine, the temporal power, and that is dealing with world government. Of course, both, because you can see that even the Pope and his own individual office, he meet those requirements. He is not only the head of his church, as he called himself, John Paul II, the present Pope. He said he is the pastor of his church. He is not only that, but he is the head of his state, of his country. What that means, he is the head of a political state. Both combinations are in one office. They are, in prophetically speaking, that is what we see in the book of Revelation.
Adventists should wake up. Time is short. What organizations have now been taken over by the Jesuit order and other institutes of Catholicism? What world powers are in her hands to be used in this final chess game for the takeover of the world? We can get some idea when we look back to the Council of Trent in the 1540s through the 1560s. At that time, during those years, we find vows that were taken by these secret orders to take over the education of the Protestants, take over their schools, take over their churches, especially to destroy the Protestant Bible by creating many translations, destroy the monarchies of Europe, destroy nationalism, to use astronomy and astrology to create new calendars that would eventually transfer the sanctity from Sabbath or Saturday to Sunday. Their goal was to take over the business world, internationalism. They were to take over banking, to take over Judaism and the movement of Zionism, to create political strife and chaos and all of these things for one end, that Catholicism should rule. Listen.
Where I prepare Cursillistas, the Legion of Mary, the Blue Army, many of these militant organizations, I train and prepare how they can become Baptists, how they can become Adventists, how they can become Methodists, how they can become Presbyterian, how they can become Pentecostal, and all these areas where they must infiltrate any area. They need to control certain area of certain people, and this is where and how they'll be ready to have them under control through these organizations. The Opus Dei mainly, they move next to what they call Christian democracy. The so-called Christian democracy is an outgrowth of this Opus Dei. It's exactly, the words in Latin precisely define that. The Latin definition is, for Opus Dei, is the work of God. What that means, the Opus Dei. Opus meaning the work, and then you have how you call Dei, Opus Dei, the work of God. And you know the intention of the Council of Trent. The intention behind the Council of Trent was the Counter-Reformation. What was the intent of the Vatican Council II? Another Counter-Reformation, but called today, how you call it? Renewal. You see the point? Now, the change was a name, but the intentions were the same.
Yes.
See, more sophisticated today.
Yes.
You see, the Counter-Reformation was taken through the Council of Trent. That was the entire Counter-Reformation was performed by the Council of Trent, decrees. Then through that time until today, Vatican Council II came about with the idea of renewal. That means another step forward, and the final, I will say this is the final stage of a Counter-Reformation. The charismatic movement is serving the purpose, as we said, of one of the many issues. As we said about Saturdays and Sunday, they'll pick up every issue with different denominations. In the case of the charismatic movement, they pick up the charismatic movement because one factor. They could not bring under subjection the Pentecostal denominations.
They couldn't.
They could not. Even when they went through the ecumenical movement before, from 1945 down to our day, since this already starts. As a matter of fact, if you want to know, the World Council of Churches started by financed by the Jesuits in Europe in 1945, after the end of the Second World War already, or by the time that the World War was to end, already the Jesuits were at work trying to unite all the Protestants in Europe. And that was the origin of the World Council of Churches and the ecumenical movement. Today the charismatic movement is serving that purpose. Where the Pentecostal could not be bring into the ecumenical forum, they brought it through the exercise of charismatic gift. Now these were two Jesuits that are starting already way back early, and before the 1600 already. Rivera and Alcázar were already commissioned to penetrate, since the infiltration was very difficult in the days through the Reformation. They can spot an infiltrator very easily in those days, because the struggle was face to face with the Vatican. Then Roman Catholics and the Inquisitors, they have a hard time trying to infiltrate the Christian churches, even in Spain, where it was underground completely. They have a hard, difficult time, and there was a very fearful thing to infiltrate. Then nevertheless, they did it. They did infiltrate, and this is how they find many Christians worshiping the Lord in underground places. Now, through infiltration.
Different approaches to present the Seventh-day Adventist Church to others. Okay, one approach is to just go by the name, Seventh Day, Sabbath, creation, human dignity, Seventh-day Adventist, the second coming, the blessed hope, and so forth, so on. That's one way. Another approach that we use to share who we are, our identity, message, and mission, is, for example, through the Reformation and the principles of the Reformation. Faith alone, Scripture alone, faith alone, grace alone, Christ alone. To God be all the glory. But we Seventh-day Adventists, we take the Reformation to its intended goal. So people fabricate. This is so bad.
I believe it was a video. You were in New Life Church in Africa.
Yes, I know, but I never say I don't preach the three angels' message. Never.
Okay.
To just briefly talk to you about Jesus Christ. Of course, when people ask me, what is it that you preach? Is it the three angels' messages? And I say, no, what I preach is Jesus. Because Jesus is the good news. Jesus is the gospel. The gospel is not a theory, it is a person. That would be nonsense. Then, so never, ever I do. But what I say is I preach Jesus to bring, and even Ellen White is so clear, we should preach the Sabbath, you know, and everything about the three angels message, but we should not, she say, forget the center of attraction, Jesus, you know. So this is what I meant, because some people think that Adventism is just about telling other religions that they are the beast and so forth, and this is what I'm against.
But in these cases, they were not commissioned under the stream of an induction, as I was under the stream of an induction. Rivera and Alcázar, they were to work, and then later Lacunza. There is more, but I will mention these three, the most important ones, in dealing with one special area, prophecy. They were assigned to deal especially with prophecy, with the purpose to do two things at least: to cover up any prophecy relate to the origin of the Antichrist, relate to the Antichrist, and relate to the papacy, relate to the Antichrist. And second, to cover up any idea that the Roman Catholic institution was never a Christian church, as I pointed out before. What that means is to make possible in Bible commentaries and church history that the Roman Catholic institution always will appear as a Christian church, fall in apostasy, and then need a renewal. That was the idea that Rivera, Alcázar, and Lacunza tried to trace. Among other things, they tried to implement the idea that most of the prophecies of the book of Revelations were already fulfilled by the time of Nero. What that means is that don't worry about prophecies today, don't worry about the Antichrist, don't worry about a one-world government, don't worry about nothing like that. The Jesuit order will have a list made up in United States of people as well as institutions that are worth trusting. As a matter of fact, that I have with me a list of cults where he lists the most dangerous cults, and all who in the list of his most dangerous cults are Christian Science, Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, starting with the Mormons. And suddenly I was expecting that he will place at the top of the most dangerous cult Roman Catholicism, but were the Mormons. Well, what I know is this, that even the Seventh-day Adventist denomination has been placed under the greatest setup and a real setup of all the history of the denomination. And the proof and evidence is that now the leadership is already in a position where they themselves cannot play the role of Frankenstein no longer, because they're being unveiled, they're being discovered, and their intents and their true intents, in cases where already most of them has been already trained, prepared by Jesuits to be where they are.
So, will this Sunday issue seems to be on the president's desk to be signed? The moral majority is pushing for it. The Lawyers' Day Alliance has pushed for it from its inception. That was one of the reasons it was created.
Yes.
So in other words, you think that for example, the Adventist leadership are going to fold up?
No, that is not true.
No.
In the how the denomination has been set up and their keeping of the Sabbath is this. The Roman Catholic institution already, and this is why you had Viacochi and some other elements within the denomination, there already has been even honor, and condecorated by the Vatican concerning their work. And actually, the Roman Catholic institution is preparing the greatest surprise of them all, because it's not going to be even Sunday that they are going to be after. It's going to be Saturday, and you will see why. The reason of this is when already Catholicism already came about with the idea during the Vatican Council II that a Roman Catholic Mass that was only to be performed on Sundays as to be the only valid Mass for Roman Catholic. Even if they go any other day, Saturday, Friday, that was no valid. a Mass for their obligations. Now, during the Vatican Council, the second session, suddenly the whole picture changed, and you know what for. The whole picture changed and said, now Saturday Mass is considered to be valid Mass as Sunday Mass. What that means, not only that, more than that, Saturday Mass can replace Sunday Mass.
But it's the Protestants,
Yes.
not the Jesuits that appear to be pushing for the Sunday, for national Sunday law.
Yes, actually, this is to trigger a reaction to really make use for a cover-up. The issue here is not even Saturday, is not even Sunday. The issue here, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, the issue here is the person of the Antichrist. You see, in matters of days, right now, the conflict is being utilized, the struggle between Saturday and Sunday is being utilized more for the benefit of Roman Catholicism than even for the benefit of the Christian Church. And that is how it has been exploited, to the point that already the Vatican approved, listen to this, approved the publication officially of Via Cocchi, see, and dealing with from his book called From Saturday to Sunday. Now, if the Vatican go as far as approving a publication as such, what do you think that is happening? Do you see the point here?
Yeah.
If the Vatican goes as far, telling an official, a member of the denominational body of the Seventh-day Adventists, I am the author of this book, I'm telling you that you have changed Saturday to Sunday, that you, as a Roman Catholic, you were the one that changed it. I mean, openly saying that there you did this, and the Cardinal Seren comes and said, oh yes, we agree, we did this, we agree. Now, what are they trying to gain by doing this, by accepting this? What they are trying to gain? They are trying to gain the sympathy, they are trying to gain the life, and they are trying to gain the entire denomination as they have gained the Pentecostal, as they have gained the Protestants through different other issues. Nevertheless, they touch every other issue except the real issue. Through any other issues, like the tongues business, the charismatic gift, you see, they are dealing with their things where nobody can see what is behind. In other words, they cannot openly see any evil because you will see the Vatican as a good, in a good position, a renewal position, say, yes, we recognize that we did wrong, we changed from Saturday to Sunday, and we admit this, and we're going to do something about it. The Vatican Council did it. You see, we are going to incorporate now officially the Mass on the day of Sabbath. You see?
Because the Bible's clear.
Oh yes. When they go that far, you can see one thing for sure. Now there is, in this issue, in my own personal belief of the Scripture, you do not see that the issue in prophecy is one day or the other. The issue in prophecy is more than a day. Is more than a day. The issue in prophecy is who and where is the Antichrist now. Once that the person perceives the reality and the manifestation of this prophecy, they'll know the rest according to the Scripture. But when a person is blind to the reality of who the Pope is, and the Pope is granting every favor to every other denomination, they'll believe that the Pope is not such a bad guy at all, after all.
Has there been a certain promotion to create in the United States a special way of looking at Roman Catholicism?
Oh yes, yes. You
some
mean
type of propaganda special for this
yes,
country?
Definitely. This is why they has been so successful here in the United States, being a country of a Protestant inheritance with a Christian beginning, right in the 1620, when the Pilgrims arrived to the northeast coast of this country, and suddenly today is making a concordat between the Vatican and the United States. Now, what that means? This is the greatest treason ever known to the very founders of this country. I mean, the most direct treason and betrayal that have taken place in this country has taken place, and the fact that now this government is looking for fellowship, for relationship with the very criminals that caused the greatest massacre in Europe, by which massacre and through which persecution the pilgrims arrived to the northeast coast of the United States.
We were told that the United States would repudiate every principle of the Constitution, and I'm sure that that is not too far in the distant future. You know, an integral part of the papal policy was an organization called the Inquisition during the Middle Ages. It began in the 12th century under Innocent III, which was the most powerful of all the popes of that time period. The purpose of the Inquisition was to seek out heresy and stop it, but it used some very unorthodox methods. One of those methods was to force certain confessions out of Christians or others, and with those confessions use them to form public opinion, to raise crusades, to destroy the primitive Christian church. Crusades went out that destroyed people by the millions. We'll not know how many until the Judgment Day. But the Inquisition, the Catholic Church said, well, yes, there was an Inquisition, yes, we destroyed people, but it was part of the barbarity of the times. Others did it too. But of course, she claims that she's changed today, and Protestants are believing her. But you know, the Inquisition still exists, and it's actively being carried out. Beneath many of her large churches today are instruments of torture. I want you to listen to the testimony of Dr. Rivera as he begins to share with us about the Inquisition today.
Definite is part of the oath and induction of any Jesuit that come under the oath and induction, and perhaps you care to know that I have revealed a great deal of this in this booklet after Alberto came out, the first part of my testimony, dealing with my minor seminar and major seminar as we went through these questions. And now you have in double cross, it is a revealing, at least a little part in these pages here, page, let's see, this is 12 and 13 at least, you see there is part of the oath and induction that I was taking as I swear to take the life not only of kings and princes and governors and mayors and senators and congressmen, but even my mother or father or brother or sister, whosoever come to be between the interests of the Roman Catholic system and the interest that they pursued. What that means is, if a president of a nation is there to interfere with the interests of the Roman Catholic institution and their pursuit of power, they will be crushed. They'll actually, we were granted, I was granted that authority, that power, to exercise that authority, that power. That when any individual, whether it is a child, whether it is a woman, whether it's an elder man, whether it is a boy, whether it's a girl, whether it's a king or a queen, regardless of who the person is, when that person, that city, that nation, this country oppose to the goals of the Roman Catholic institution and interfere with, that already call for disaster. There is enough left of the old Inquisition. I will say there is a new Inquisition today, not even tomorrow, is at work today, and here, even in the United States, and has been always. There is not replacement of a new Inquisition replacing the old. No, what happened is that the old Inquisition, as the years went by, under the sponsorship and guidelines of the Jesuit general and the Jesuit order, they has been changing their devices and their tools, in their I will say their devices, their methods. You see, what happened is the Inquisition is the same Inquisition. The Holy Office never closed the door since it was established in 1200. You see, it never closed the door. As a matter of fact, Within the Vatican, this is an office that never closed the door day and night. Today have a different name. It happened that they have a different name today, as they have different devices and methods to bring people to trial. Today, the Inquisition is at work. As a matter of fact, you have a book here that is called Night Journey from Rome, that we came to publish. A Night Journey from Rome is one of the last converted Roman Catholic priests in the United States, an American priest that was converted to Christ and his gospel about 2 years ago and came with us to the reading of Alberto, the first part of my testimony. He was Clark Butterfield, is his name, a Californian priest. There is the book here, Night Journey from Rome. And here is the most revealing thing about the actual Inquisition in the United States. He was so much aware of the reality of that Inquisition that in his own will, he prevented even his relatives, his own mother, his own relative, from bringing his body to the Roman Catholic parish the day that he was ready to depart to be with his Lord and Savior. And he almost prophesied, and I will, because exactly that was the intention. Immediately that he was killed by the Jesuits of Rome and Detroit, Michigan, through a Roman Catholic doctor, member of the Knights of Columbus. Then you can see the Inquisition is alive and well, with different devices, different methods, and a different name. Today they call the Office for the Preservation of the Doctrine and the Faith.
Does the idea of assassination, murder, persecution, and suffering bother you? It really shouldn't. I remember when a Roman Catholic priest stood here in this studio and told me that they were watching me and that they were serious about any threat to what they wanted to do. I told him, go ahead, shoot. What difference does it make? As long as I'm alive, I'll present this truth. But if I die, then my troubles are over. Everyone that will be in heaven will have suffered for Christ. When we get there, our Master will have scars in his hands. And only if we suffer will we feel we have a perfect right to that place. In fact, in Revelation 12, verse 11, we read, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. This message we have to give, we've got to give without worrying about consequences. It's a divine message of truth. It can't fail. We're fulfilling the prophecies of the closing events, and it's going to go through to completion. It's time for all of us Adventists to wake up, give up the things of this world, and go forward and give this message.